Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of Medtalk, career conversations with, by, and for doctors. And who do we have over here? A very, very special guest, Dr. Rajat Jain, the president of Doctors for You, a very unique organization that was set up 15 years back to delve into public healthcare issues. And we will get to know much about it from the man himself. Welcome, Dr. Rajat, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And we have a young, sweet doctor who's going to enter the not-so-sweet world, Dr. Pulkit from AIIMS, New Delhi. Welcome, Dr. Pulkit.
Thank you.
Dr. Rajat, ever since I met you at the Maharashtra CSR Conclave, I was very intrigued, and that's why I reached out to you, because I think it's a very interesting, what can I say, you've rolled multiple personalities into one. You're a radiologist, you've set up this amazing Doctors for You company, and you have also, I believe, a motivational speaker and many other things which maybe I'm not even aware of. How did you think of doing all this? And, what are the various steps that you took which made you achieve the pinnacle of success that you are at today? Would you like to share that with our doctors?
Yeah. So actually, everything started when I became a doctor. And if you ask me, I became a doctor by chance. I never wanted to be a doctor. I became a doctor on the wish of my grandfather, who wanted somebody from the family to be a doctor.
Typical.
Yeah, which was pursued by my brother, who literally pushed me or forced me to become a doctor. I mean, I still remember there were times when I told very categorically that I will not even write the exams. But they literally pushed me that they want somebody in the family to be a doctor. So broadly, then I became a doctor and entered into the Maulana Azad Medical College. So when I entered into the medical college, the broad aim was, chalo, you have become a doctor, now you want to serve the society. And but slowly over a period of 5 years, that concept of serving the society has gone for a toss. And it was more, you have entered into a world when you are a 22-year-old boy and from a lower middle class background, and everybody with your friends who are non-medico, they became independent. They started earning some amount, but at least they were not dependent on their parents. And you are the one who has to still ask for your pocket money from your parents. So that all serving the society went for a toss, and I decided now just being a doctor has no value. You have to do a specialization. So I decided okay, now you have to prepare for a PG entrance exam, and I worked very, very hard. And by some amount of my hard work and by the grace of God, I was able to get rank 1. And
wow.
When I got the rank, then again there were a lot of thoughts that what specialty you pick up. No idea, as there was no doctor. So all of my seniors told me that if you get rank 1, you have to pick up radiology, because there is a lot of money in this branch, there is a good quality of life. And I picked up radiology in Maulana Azad Medical College and started working. I mean, that's in a simple nutshell that how I became a specialist and entered into the radiology. But when I entered into the radiology, I started working in the radiology and I finished my radiology residency. I realized one thing, that it's an amazing branch, but it is not serving the purpose for which I am being born. I am probably born with a different purpose. I want to do something different for the society. So I still remember I called up one of my friend in Mumbai who has done his community medicine from KEM, Dr. Ravikant Singh, that I wanted to set up a platform where all the doctors who wanted to serve the society, but they do not want to leave their primary profession,
right,
can do something. So please guide me that what should I do, how to set up an NGO. So he said it's very, very cumbersome to set up an NGO. I have set it up 3 years back and I want you to help me out and let's create a very, very big difference in the system. So that was a time when I joined Doctors for You and I started a wing of Doctors for You in Delhi. Previously it was limited to Mumbai. So then I joined Doctors for You and I started doing some camps in Delhi. So before that, Doctors for You was only working in the disaster affected areas. So we did some camps and we got a lot of appreciation from the underprivileged society. And it gave me a lot of, a positive energy that I want to do this. But then I also realized that just doing the camp is not broadly serving the purpose. And I realized that there are something more to it. And then that was a time when I thought of that, let's identify that what are the challenges in the public health system. Why, if you are in a public hospital, you're a doctor in a public health doctor, you criticize the private system. And if you are a doctor in a private system, you criticize a doctor in a government system. You go and you ask a doctor who is working in a private setup, they're gonna say, government system mein koi doctor kaam nahi karna chahta. They just come and they go. You went to a government system and you ask them, they say, private hospitals mein to doctors sirf paisa kamane ke liye baithe hain, unko kisi cheez se koi matlab nahi hai. So I tried to identify that what is happening, why? Because as a profession, we are not bad people.
Right.
I mean, anybody who has become a doctor, the core insight in their mind is they wanted to definitely do something for the society.
True.
But what has happened? Why those areas are creating a challenge? Yeah. So I thought that obviously I'm too little to do this, but let me do my bit and let me try to create an organization to at least handle the challenge in the public health system. So there are some interesting challenges in the system, and over a period of time I have spoken to a lot of directors in the government hospital, lot of doctors in the government hospital, lot of bureaucrats who are handling the health system, as well as lot of people in power at the level of health minister or at that. And I realized that they all have one aim, and that is they also want to work. If everybody wants to work, then what is the challenge? So what I realized, I'll give you a very small example, and that changed my entire ideology of working. So I was a faculty at Maulana Azad Medical College, and I remember that there were few interns, they came to me and they were very frustrated. Interns were supposed to take some blood pressure of the patient, and we got a complaint that the blood pressure of the patients were not being recorded. So when I spoke to the interns, why the blood pressure is not being recorded? So one of the intern out of frustration said, "Sir, kya blood pressure record करे? Blood pressure machine ही नहीं चलती." So I said कि ऐसा होना तो नहीं चाहिए. I mean the blood pressure machines are new machines and they should work. तो अब इंटर्न की क्या गलती है अगर मशीन नहीं चल रही तो? So then I realized कि battery was not there in the blood pressure machine. So when I came to know this with this problem, I spoke to the intern. I said कि बच्चे 10 रुपए की बैटरी आती है, 10 रुपए की बैटरी लगा लेते और चला देते मशीन. Then intern said कि सर मेरा थोड़ा ना काम है, सरकार का काम है मशीन में बैटरी डालना. बात तो ठीक बोल रहा है, सरकार का काम है, सरकार को पता ही नहीं है कि बैटरी खराब है. ये चैलेंज है. The process of procuring the battery is as cumbersome as process of getting a new machine. और nobody is bothered कि वो मशीन है कि नहीं. तो मुझे याद है मैंने 10,000 रुपये दिए और कहा कि चलो एक काम करो 1,000 बैटरी लेके आ जाओ. Nobody will ask you कि बैटरीज का क्या हुआ, बट प्लीज मेक श्योर कि 3 महीने तक अब बीपी अपैरेटस खराब नहीं होना चाहिए. इतनी छोटी सी इंटरवेंशन से वो इंटर्न, उस बेचारे को क्या चाहिए था?
बीपी लेना था उसको,
प्रॉपरली वर्किंग बीपी मशीन चाहिए थी. उसको फ्रस्ट्रेशन हो रहा था इस बात से कि बीपी मशीन ही नहीं चलती, मेरे को क्यों बोल रहा काम करने के लिए. उसके पास स्ट्रेस के और 50 रीजन है उसकी लाइफ में ना. द डॉक्टर्स आर वेरी मच स्ट्रेस्ड और द पेशेंट वाज गेटिंग फ्रस्ट्रेटेड बिकॉज he knows that nobody is coming to me, my BP is not being taken. Just with my small intervention, that system became functional. That was a major, what we say, game changer in my thought. Then I realized that in order to make a system work, 10 things are needed. In the government system, most of the time what happens is one thing is not there. Rest 9 things are there. And just because of that, that system don't function. And because the system does not function, ultimately the blame comes to doctor. You go to a government hospital, everybody will blame the doctor.
True.
Cleanliness of the hospital is not there, the doctor will be blamed. Overworked doctors are there, the doctor will be blamed. Surgery did not happen in the OT. Why surgery did not happen? Because the autoclave machine was not there and these equipments were not autoclaved. The doctor was blamed. And there was so much of the frustration that was developed amongst the doctor that he said कि गाली तो पढ़नी है, काम करने के बाद भी पढ़नी है ना, तो काम भी नहीं करता. So I realized कि अच्छा एक काम करते हैं, autoclave दे देते हैं. So the moment you're gonna address that particular system, that system will function. The doctor will feel happy. The patient is getting operated. So just identifying these small challenges, we realized that I will become that person who is ready to take that ownership, that yes, this is the problem in the system. I am ready to take up this particular challenge and I am trying to identify this. This is just an example of equipment. Sometimes the challenge is that a trained paramedical staff is not available and the recruitment is taking a lot of time. So we identified that let's be that bridge. Okay. And we identified that Doctors for You will be Bridge the Gap organization. We will bridge those gaps.
Awesome.
Whatever is the challenge in the system, we will bridge that gap. We will not ask the question that why there is a gap, because sitting on that particular chair, you only know what are the problems that you have. When I am sitting here, I only know what is my problem. The easiest thing is to question somebody. So rather than questioning somebody, we will find out the solutions of it within our capacity. People like this idea. Lot of people came forward to support us. Lot of organization came forward to support us. Yeah. COVID happened. We were working in the disasters. People were dying like anything. We had never seen that thing has happened. People were dying because of the lack of availability of beds. People were dying because of the lack of availability of doctors. Using our experience, we created makeshift hospital. We converted banquet hall into hospitals. Okay. We converted stadiums into the hospitals so that a dedicated mid-level oxygen beds can be provided so that the burden from the tertiary care hospital can be reduced. So, I mean, those are the areas wherever there was a need to bridge the gap in the public health system, we tried to do that. And when I look back at my journey, specifically related to Doctors for You, you feel a sense of pride that is a difference that you were able to create. Now, the big question, I am a 37, 38-year-old person who's from a lower middle background. What I'm doing, from where I'm earning money? Because ultimately I need money also to support.
Yes.
And I mean, that's a very, very big question. So I realized that from this part, I don't want to earn money, because the moment I will think from the monetary perspective, my whole concept that I want to create will be defeated. True. But obviously I wanted to earn money for myself also. There are always two things that I have seen that the biggest contribution that you can do for the people. One is healthcare and the second is education. And I got an opportunity to work in both the sectors. So health, I have already told you. I am from a teaching background. So teaching is inherent in my thoughts, in my genes.
Right.
So I started teaching, and it's passion to teach. And the best thing is when your passion can become your profession.
True.
So I became a professional teacher who started guiding students, who started mentoring students, who started motivating students, which was liked by the student because of my academic background of cracking the exam. Students appreciated the ways that I have told them, and that helped me in getting a financial stability in my life. So I realized that let's create that balance so that my financial component is also stabilized, so that I can earn a decent living for myself, as well as I am also living a life of contribution to set up an organization which can make a difference in the society. Now, Doctors for You is working across all the country. You name a state where we are working in parallel, or I should not say parallel, basically in support of the public health system, be it the rural areas, be it the tribal areas, be it the urban slums, to make a difference, to make the healthcare affordable for that particular community, or rather than the affordable is basically to support the public health systems. And on the education front, trying so that the two can be balanced.
Wow. Lots of learnings from Dr. Rajat's journey. Sometimes grandparents take the right decisions for us. So we have to thank Dr. Rajat's grandfather, his Dadaji, for taking that decision for him. Otherwise, imagine so many people's life would not get impacted, right? The second thing is, I think, never losing your sense of purpose, right? He made a very important statement that doctors are born with a sense of purpose, and they get into this, subject. They decide to, sort of give themselves to the betterment of society. And if that is not lost, you can always find a way. And he found two beautiful ways. One is to give back to the healthcare from which he was born and brought up, how to make it better, how to bridge the gap. That is also a very important thing. Find a gap, bridge it, be the solution, not the cribber. And last but not the least is that just give back whatever you have learned. Don't take it to the grave with you. Education is the most important thing that you can ever give anybody. So I think it really explains why Dr. Rajat Jain is as successful as he is, right? So all you young doctors over there, listen and hear this whole thing again. Replay it till you get every nuance that he mentioned, and try to, include some of it in your lives to enrich in it further. Thank you so much, Dr. Rajat. Hello, Dr. Pulkit. So, Dr. Rajat shared a very interesting thought in the middle about doctors being stressed, right? And as a young doctor, everybody is a topper, and then they enter this very tough world where everybody is a topper. So the stress starts from there. And then there is huge stress in this long road that we have. So how do you think, you young doctors actually face this stress? What all do you encounter and how do you face it? And how can we as senior professionals or senior doctors or, the authorities help the young doctors little bit elevate this stress? The whole idea is if we can identify the problem, maybe we can solve the problem. Can you share some thoughts?
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, a pre-medical student, before one gets admission into medical college, thinks that getting admission is everything. It is later when one gets into the college, he realizes that even a long course such as MBBS, which is 5.5 years, is not enough to excel in their medical field. So this long learning curve, plus we also have, a long learning process, and our engineering friends, they start earning much earlier than us. So that economic factors and financial reasons also leads up to the stress. So another point was raised by you in your question only, that most of us are toppers in their respective schools. And so once we enter the medical college, we realize that we all are at the same level. And now it's the competition between those toppers. So that leads to another amount of academic stress. So I think besides these, you have a hierarchy which is followed in medical colleges. Like you have seniors, then they have their seniors. So in case the topmost seniors are stressed, so that stress percolates down to you also. So that also leads to stress. So I think these are some of the stress factors which make medical profession a tough one. Apart from that, there are academic stresses. Like once you get in academic stresses in the sense that after MBBS, you have to study for your MD or MS exams. So that cycle of competitive exams again begins. Once you qualified that pre-medical examination, you think that your life is now chill and you will be relaxed. But that isn't the case. Then the competitive exams again and again makes your life hectic. So I think these are the challenges which a medical student faces. And the solution lies being to accept those challenges and try to, these challenges are there definitely and you cannot avoid them. So the better way is to try to, put your own efforts and to enjoy the process. If you enjoy the process, the stress will not appear that much stress, and you will sail through successfully. And the seniors also have an important role to play in that because seniors also have gone through that phase of stress and struggle through their educational life, academic life. So if the seniors create some enabling environment for their juniors, and the seniors don't force the juniors to undergo through the same processes which they have undergone in their time. So I think that caring and enabling environment will definitely help juniors to progress through their academic life much more easily. And my father told me when I was stressed during my MBBS time, the few lines which I think is which are very motivational. I think everyone will relate to this. The lines are, जिसके जीवन में युद्ध नहीं, जिसके जीवन में युद्ध नहीं, जीवन उसका अभागा होगा, या तो उसने प्रण को तोड़ा होगा या वो रन छोड़ भागा होगा, which means the struggles and challenges are part of your life. Without that, you cannot embrace the happiness of conquering them. So if there are no challenges, no struggles in your life, then you are unlucky one. So definitely embrace the challenges and enjoy the process, and you will definitely feel happy once you conquer them. So this is my message to all the medical students.
The message is very clear, guys. It's a tough road. Brace yourself, enjoy the journey, and it's just going to toughen you because you have to be tough as a doctor. So the sooner you become tougher, the better it is for you, right?
Definitely.
So, Dr. Rajat, now that you've seen so much, right? As you said, you know what goes wrong from batteries to equipments to people. What advice do you have for the private sector and for the public health sector, the people who are making decisions? What do you think, according to you, should be the 3 focus areas that should be the prime focus right now for both the sectors? You can give 3 each also.
Yeah, I mean, there has been a lot of discussions that we have done on this sector. And I say that the public health system and the private health system, they work in a totally different way. One of the primary target area for the public health system is to provide access of the healthcare facility to all the population, irrespective of the social strata that they belong to.
Just access.
Yes. And I believe that one of the biggest challenge in terms of the public health system in India is non-equitable distribution of the health system.
True.
If you go to the metro city, you're going to find a relatively decent numbers of the facilities. But the more far you start going, you're going to see scarcity of this. So there is an urgent need of decentralization of these or equitable distribution of that. Even in the metro cities, if you're going to look at this system, in the older time, we have spoken about the health system as a primary centers, secondary centers, then referral hospitals. Unfortunately, the moment a patient is ill, they try to go towards the referral center. So that hierarchy of the system is not there. So there is a big need when that system has to be maintained, so that the referral system is only for the referral. The second area where I feel that the public health system has to be strengthened is early diagnosis of the disease. Because the cost of the treatment of that disease can be drastically reduced if the disease is diagnosed at a right stage. If I talk about cancers, now we know in this world, majority of the cancers are treatable, but when they are picked up at an early stage. The moment you go to an advanced stage, first of all, the treatment is more expensive. The second is the treatment is not easily available. And the third is the treatment is not complete. So if we can pick up those diseases, and we know nowadays with the help of good diagnostic capabilities, the diseases can be picked up at an early stage. Third, I still remember 2014 when the Uttarakhand flood happened. So after that, Star Plus, they did a show on Doctors for You. So a very, very beautiful statement was made during that show, and that was कि जब मरीज अस्पताल तक ना पहुंच पाए तो अस्पताल मरीज तक पहुंच जाए. In a public health system, I feel that it is an important step that the government should focus upon, that the health facility should be available close to the patient so that they are not wasting their entire day to get the basic treatment available. So I feel that these are the 3 major areas where the public hospitals or the public health system should work. When I talk about the private hospitals, I feel one of the biggest area where the private hospital should work upon is trust. I get almost 10 to 15 calls in a day from patients. I am a radiologist by profession and a little bit public health expert now. But even for the complex of the problems, they want my advice, because they feel that if I will give them an advice, that will be a genuine advice.
True.
They have lost that trust from the system. And this is because of lack of proper communication. So proper communication and development of that trust is a very, very essential thing that we need to develop. Third is, which a very important message that I want to give and I want to share it with you also. I will not name, but few days back, I got a call from one of my friend. His friend's daughter has a congenital heart disease. She has an ASD and a VSD and
Okay.
some other complex congenital heart disease. So, and we run a program by the name of Trisha in Doctors for You. So he just wanted my opinion that what should we do. So I evaluated the case and I said that I'm not the right person, but I think I need to take an opinion from a pediatric cardiologist. So I took an opinion from the pediatric cardiologist and he suggested that this patient needs to be operated. And that's the only treatment that is available. To my whatever best knowledge that I have, the patient needs a surgery. And I told him, I think this patient needs a surgery. Up for a non-medico, your 1 month-old child will be operated. It's a very, very big news for them. So everybody wants to take a second opinion. So they took a second opinion. Unfortunately, the doctor gave a second opinion कि वो सर्जरी बोली है, नहीं ये तो डॉक्टर ना ऐसे ही करते हैं और आप हमारे पास ले आइए और हम बिना सर्जरी के ठीक कर देंगे, डोंट वरी. हमने ऐसे इस अस्पताल के बहुत सारे केसेस को ऐसे किया. He called me. He said कि यार you were saying कि तो सर्जरी करनी पड़ेगी, बट ये तो कह रहे हैं कि सर्जरी की ज़रूरत ही नहीं है. I said, see, I'm not an expert on that, but to the best of my knowledge, we have seen a lot of such cases, and I think that the best solution for this is surgery. And then I spoke to the pediatric cardiac surgeon also, and he said, I think the ideal treatment for that is the surgery only. But then they did not listen to me, and they went to that doctor. And the moment they went to that doctor, they did the echo, and they said, अच्छा हो सकता है सर्जरी करनी पड़े, हो सकता है कि दवाइयों से ठीक हो जाए, चलो एक दिन देखते हैं, है ना. दे एडमिटेड द पेशेंट फॉर 1 डे. नेक्स्ट डे से दे सेड कि नहीं सर्जरी ही करनी पड़ेगी, बट अब आप और कहीं कहाँ जाओगे, हम ही कर देते हैं ऑपरेट. तो आई मीन दोज काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स क्रिएट मिसट्रस्ट इन पेशेंट्स माइंड, एंड probably he has operated that particular patient on the best. I do not have a real answer on this particular problem, but that's a big challenge that is there in our system. So I think I mean there is a big overhauling that is needed for the system on this particular front. So I mean those are the 3 broad advices.
Absolutely. I think all of us receive these calls, and together I think as a group, as a fraternity, we need to remove this mistrust and reinstate trust, because trust in something like healthcare, where it's about life and death, I think if you can't trust the person, it's a futile exercise. So I think with clarity of thought, Dr. Rajat has shared with us that the public health sector definitely needs to be more accessible, needs to be more equitable, and needs to focus on early diagnosis to reduce the overall cost and the time of treatment, because that is where the outcome is the best, right? Even if you diagnose a person in late stage, the mortality is still going to be 30 to 40%, which is not a good thing to have. And the second thing about private, I think all private practitioners, should really focus on this part. So in some of the countries, the communication is very good, and we see minimal medico-legal cases over there. And that statistics itself proves how important the right communication at the right time, without an element of bias that he spoke about, without talking about anybody or anything, just going by facts, statistics, evidence, and just giving the right communication so that the patient, continues to trust the doctors like it was always meant to be, right? Thank you so much for that, Dr. Rajat. So, Dr. Pulkit, of the various clinical specialties available today, possible today, which one do you desire or aspire for, and why?
Ma'am, my interest has always been in medicine. The story starts from second year when we start to have our board postings. So all throughout my MBBS, I have realized that medicine is that one branch which excites me the most, because in that field, it's basically an analytical branch. All you have to do is to analyze the situation and use algorithms to arrive at a diagnosis and then plan a treatment for the patient. And what more intriguing is that it basically requires you to have good communication skills so that you can elicit proper history and your more clinical skills and acumen so that you can do a proper examination and come to a diagnosis. So this has been my fascination So I think I will be pursuing my MD in medicine, and thereafter I plan to do DM in gastroenterology, because apart from this I will also have something to do as a procedure, so it will provide some hands-on also.
Great. All the best. Hope you become a great gastroenterologist,
Thank you.
right? Dr. Rajat, while MD medicine and gastro is a great field, today I feel that, especially post-COVID, a lot of people have gone into healthcare who do not really understand healthcare or are trying to understand healthcare. And I think they need, if they have to make healthcare better, and that's required, right? So earlier there was a technology boom, there was the IT boom, now it's a healthcare boom. So obviously we need help. We doctors cannot improve healthcare on our own. We need help. But we also have to be a participant in that evolution. Otherwise, the end product will look very different from what it was supposed to look, right? And that is why, at least I feel that doctors should, as you said, you mentioned in the middle that, you can manage 2 things or 3 things even at the same time. So you don't have to leave your practice, but you can try out other things so that, you are involved or contributing to something else beyond your, work desk or your stethoscope. So what, according to you, would you advise the young doctors that just don different thinking hats and think of various roles that you can play, in the next decades, because the next few decades are critical for healthcare?
Yeah. No, I mean, you have said a very, very important statement that the next 30 years are for healthcare. There is no doubt about it. I mean, people are realizing this, the way that things are going. Coming on to the question that you are raising, and again, you have also raised a very valid point. I feel that the doctors are the best brain in the society. If you go to research areas, you're going to realize that clearing a competitive exam like a medical entrance exam is one of the toughest exam, not just in India, but in the entire world. And it needs a lot of things. So, but unfortunately, another area that I have identified is that more brainy you are, the less risk-taking you become. So, and you make your life focused कि MBBS करना है, MD करना है, एक सुपर स्पेशलाइजेशन करना है, एक कॉर्पोरेट हॉस्पिटल में एक जॉब ज्वाइन करना है, एंड देन दैट्स द एंड, है ना, एक अपर लिमिट पे. द सेकंड एरिया इज ओके, MBBS करना है, MD करना है, एक गवर्नमेंट जॉब ज्वाइन करना है, एक प्रोफेसर बनना है और एक डीन ऑफ द मेडिकल कॉलेज बन जाना है. So most of the time in the medical field, people do not have the entrepreneur mindset. They feel to follow something. They don't think of creating something. So I feel that if people of medical field starts owning the thing, if they starts becoming the owner of their thoughts and to create the system, the way that the healthcare is going to grow in the India will be at a different level. True. The things are changing. I will not say that things are not changing. I have seen lot of young people nowadays have started coming up with new ideas. I know a lot of young generation doctors who are in the MBBS have started exploring opportunities related to nutrition. In fact, very recently AIMS, I mean, Pulkit must be aware, has issued a circular, the new director of the AIMS, that with the help of IIT, they are setting up the startup incubatees. Wow. in the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, where there will be a training related to.
I have done a
so very recently
and a study with IIT, and it was wonderful.
This
and
has
that
happened.
will provide good exposure to MBBS to change their mind if they want to.
Brilliant initiative.
Yeah.
And I mean, I still remember when I started teaching the medical students as guiding, mentoring them. There was a statement at that point of time, and that was कि जिन लोगों की प्राइवेट प्रैक्टिस नहीं चलती वो लोग टीचिंग करना स्टार्ट कर देते हैं so that they can earn some amount of money. But my practice was pretty decent, and I mean, from a radiologist, I mean, if I had to just do a job, I mean, I could have earned a decent amount of money. But I took up the teaching as a professional career, not just because मेरी private practice नहीं चलती थी, out of a passion, out of because I knew that I am good at it. And nowadays, I know lot of younger generation doctors who are getting top ranks, and they are picking up teaching as their primary profession. Right. Because they know that how effectively they are contributing to the life of the younger generation, and as well as there are the financial perks available into this. Similarly, a lot of people are coming up. There are a lot of emphasis that has been started giving on this. But one message to the every medical community is that we have to come forward and we have to think out of box, because otherwise the people from different background, different specialties are gonna come and become our bosses, and ultimately all the brunt of the people you have to bear, because if something is not going in a decent way, ultimately you are the one who gonna be blamed. And if you are owning that particular system, the chances of the system being more ethical, more patient centered, more convenient to the people is much more likely in comparison to when somebody else is owning, because you have seen this, you know what are the challenges that are there.
True. Doctors, remember, you are the brightest kid in that school, in that class. No wonder you have got that seat and why you are sitting where you are sitting. So apart from conventional thinking, let's be a little innovative thinker, creative thinker, analytical thinker, and try to contribute to the next 3 decades of healthcare, because the next 3 decades will shape the next 100 years of healthcare, and we have to be an important part of that journey. So on that note, thank you so much, Dr. Rajat and Dr. Pulkit. And thank you everyone for watching.